Good to see. Yeah, put all our pressure down.
Are we safe?
Good.
Hey, good. Get in here. All right, everybody. One more time for Chelsea. Come on.
Yeah.
Woo! That was phenomenal. Good stuff. So real quick, first, welcome everybody to Cards and Culture Mental Health Night. We are absolutely ecstatic to have everybody here tonight. This is a fantastic cause and good to see some smiling faces. Good to be around some smiling faces. It feels like with everything going on, so it's really good to have everyone here. I guess we'll do quick introductions.
Yeah.
Cool. My name is Ross Rushing. I am, the reason that I am here is I was reading a 225 magazine, is that better? 225 magazine article on yours truly. As I was reading through it, the thing that hit me first off was just the name of her foundation, You Aren't Alone. I'm probably the least read blog in the history of blogs, which is totally okay. I think it's more for me than it is for anybody else. But it's a blog that I started to talk about my own mental health journey through recovery. Recovering alcoholic, I've been sober for 3 years and some change. It's been a life-changing experience based from where I was to where I am. It's pretty cool. The blog has come waste your time with me, and the first piece in my when I'm in my intro, I make the point that you aren't alone. You are not alone. That was the thing that was absolutely important to me in my journey of recovery. Was I thought no one else understood. Like no one else could get me. My problems were my own. I was a unique individual that had things that no one else could understand. And because of that, it made me fall inside of myself to a point where I almost lost my wife, my 2 kids, job, and everything else. And through recovery, I've been able to get all of that back and more. So I am super excited to be here. Chelsea and I met up to talk about her performance piece because in that, the one thing I didn't see in it was improv. Improv has been a big part of my journey. I got into it on a whim because I needed something to fill my time, and literally within the first 5 minutes of my first improv class, I'm like, yep, I'm doing this for the rest of my life. It's the best thing I've ever done. It's fun as can be. This is great. So that's a little bit about me. I've probably talked too much already. Very excited to be here. We're going to do some questions in a bit, but I'm going to pass this down and let everybody else introduce themselves.
Okay, you already know me a little bit. I will say that I myself suffer from anxiety, depression, and when I finally got help, it was truly life-changing for me, and I decided that I needed to be a part of helping other people with their journeys. And so that's kind of where the project was born. I'm also in grad school for mental health counseling. I'm trying to find a way to just change the conversation and facilitate more conversations around mental health. So I'm really glad to be able to do that with you guys tonight.
Amazing. You killed it too. Can we just give another round of applause? So if you guys don't know, my name is Anthony Ranaudo. I'm the owner of Cards and Culture here. Thank you guys for coming out first and foremost. I appreciate it so much. Mental health, Chelsea and I connected, 2 or 3 years ago, something like that? I was working with a company called the Positive Vibe Movement. It was started by a guy named Matt Bonnick who suffered from OCD, and there was a lot of bipolar kind of in his family. And so we connected just a little bit on mental health, and he was on a podcast of mine, and I kind of understood his business wasn't just hats and t-shirts and things like that, and it was more about the mental health journey and ending the stigma around mental health. And so I invested in Matt and his brand, and that kind of brought us together with Chelsea here in town, and we started doing a lot of stuff around mental health. When I knew I wanted to start Cards and Culture, it was just another opportunity for me, another platform for me. My background is in professional baseball. I played baseball here at LSU for 3 years, and then I played professionally for 7 or 8 years. But if you guys know anything about sports, it's a big conditioned mindset, right? So my whole life I was conditioned to be this athlete, and to me, I didn't realize the implications of that, as I got older, and I started suffering from some real world situations, right? So I realized too that mental health meant so many different things to so many people. I played professional baseball and I saw the top athletes in the world suffer from the most severe mental illnesses and didn't have an outlet to talk about it because there was a stigma around it. You were mentally weak, right? That was a thing for us. Like, you had to be mentally strong. You had to push through your adversity, your anxiety, your stress. And I never really resonated with that. I always really appreciated a sports psychologist coach and enjoyed the mental side of the game, and realized that I did have anxiety. And when I got traded from the Red Sox to the Rangers, and I no longer was their bonus baby and their prized possession. I was just a piece to a puzzle. I learned really quick how baseball is a business. And that kind of really introduced me to depression for the first time in my life. And after that, I realized, man, everybody has a story, right? And I realized a lot of people didn't understand what I was going through. And it was hard for me to explain that and relate to a lot of people. So for me, mental health was something I was always passionate about because I think it's so unique to everybody, and I don't think everybody can share their own story always. So I looked at mental health as an opportunity for me to speak up and show people, you know, we all go through this, and I know what I look like to most people, but I have the same struggles and the same thoughts and the same things that are relative to me in my life. So art, expression of art, tattoos are a big thing for me, and that's kind of what got me into art, and I started collecting art personally in my house. I got to know the artist personally, and that's what really let me understand that art is a mental health journey and an expression of mental health, right? And so many artists go through so many different things. So when Chelsea presented this opportunity to me, I just wanted to run with it because I know art is so unique to so many people. Jacob Zuma was one of the main artists. He was supposed to be here with us tonight, but he's getting ready for his launch and his gallery. But he'll be here with us. But a lot of his art, you know, comes from a mental health struggle, the grind of an artist, right? And I just love that story. I think everybody has a unique story, and mental health is so unique to everybody. So for me, that's why I'm passionate about it. I want to talk about it, and I just want to make it comfortable for everybody because I feel like human connection is ultimately what we're here for on this earth, and I think everybody has a unique opportunity to do that and connect with people, and so I just wanted to take my opportunity and connect with people like Chelsea who are trying to make a difference and do great things in this world. So thank you again for everybody coming out, and I know you guys might not understand because I don't paint, but I do think I have a little artistic ability of expressing myself in different things, and I got tattoos, so that's what I say. Like, at least I have the ideas, right? But yeah, my girlfriend here, Brandie, she's also on the panel here with me. She's going to do some great things and talk about her journey as well. There you go. Kill it.
Well, thank you guys so much for your time. First of all, so my name is Brandie Wilkerson. I'm sure you don't know me because I only just moved to Baton Rouge about a month ago. So I am a beach volleyball Olympian for Team Canada and have been playing beach volleyball for most of my life. But what was always my first love was art. And interestingly enough, I didn't get into sport because I wanted to only pursue art, and it was in my pursuit of art and going to better schools and putting myself out there that I just happened to have sports kind of come together. So it's been an interesting dynamic, but I think through all of that, art and sport or whatever it is has always been my only outlet and platform as a form of expression, and I think that's what I've realized in my journey for mental health, because coming as an immigrant, I'm originally from Europe, but I moved to Canada. My dad's American, so you come from biracial background, and you want this sense of belonging, or you want some connection if your first language isn't the same, or you don't come from a high-income family, so you don't have access to things. So those things were tough, and I also suffered from body image issues, depression, a little bit of everything. So I found that having a place to express myself, to have purpose, to connect with others is something that I've realized that no matter where people are in their lives, that's all they want. They want to be seen and they want to be loved. And filling that void with art, with beauty, with love and laughter is something that I've continuously pursued and hope to continuously pursue past my athletic career, and surround myself with really amazing, inspiring people that are working on projects like this that make lasting change and change the stigma around mental health, because this is something important to all of us, and we should really just be focusing on what we all have in common, which is connection. So, thank you again.
Thanks. All right. So the way we're going to do this was, I've got some questions that we were going to ask the panel. Go through these questions. I think we were going to open it up for Q&A from anybody that may have some questions out in the audience, and we encourage everybody to participate. So with that being said, I was going to go ahead and hit the first question, but the thing is, we basically, the first question is, why is mental health important to you?
Yeah, we checked that box.
And I didn't realize how awesome of a moderator I am. I literally had them answer my question without even asking it. So I thank you. Sorry. Y'all can tell me stop in a minute. This is the next question for the panel. And I guess what we'll do is I'll pass it to you, then I'll give you my take on it, and then we'll go to the next one. So the first question we have is, Chelsea, what advice would you give someone who is struggling with mental health issues?
First off, you aren't alone. And second, don't be afraid to reach out for support, because I was talking to somebody about this earlier. We all have mental health issues. I think there's been this stigma around even just the term mental health, mental illness, all these other things. But mental health is a spectrum, and we always, from day to day, from year to year, fall somewhere within that spectrum. And at any point in time, it's okay to need a little extra support. We focus on self-care a lot, but sometimes we need more than just self-care. It takes more than just me to help me. And I know that if I didn't reach out for help 4 years ago, that I wouldn't be right here today. I don't know where I would be, because I think things were getting pretty dark. And so, sometimes a little bit of self-care, a little bit of wellness routine, a little bit of positive self-talk, and kind of changing the way different parts of your life, setting boundaries, things like that for yourself. Sometimes that is all you need. And sometimes you can handle it, and you can just change up your routine to get a little bit better. But if that's not enough, that's okay too. And that's my main advice.
I love that. Well done. I don't like following you. Your answers are amazing. Yeah, this is a tough follow-up. Yeah. I'm right after. She's going to grad school for this. Yeah, that's amazing. But for real, I'm going to repeat the first thing you said, right? The first thing is that you aren't alone. Understanding that is that most people go through this and have their own battles and their own situations, right? And I think most people put out their best thing every single day. So I think having an understanding that what you see on social media, what you see out in the world, isn't always the reality of what people are feeling, right? So I think that understanding that your thoughts and the things that are happening in your life don't define you, right? Like, those things are okay. You have an outlet, you aren't alone, you can share those things with people. And breaking through those fears and those conditioned thoughts, for me, my personal experience, all I can talk about is that once I was okay talking about it, once I found my network of people, my connections, it was a really freeing experience. So I think that helps the whole battle, and even just puts down that wall of, oh man, I'm messed up, or there's something wrong with me, right? Or all those labels and those stigmas around the mental health and the mental illness and stuff like that. So understanding that it's not the end of the world, that other people can go through the same things and probably do, just connecting with that compassionately is a great start. And I think, like you said, just understanding you aren't alone is one of the biggest things.
I guess I would just have my own take on the same thing, where the community aspect is huge, and just, I guess first and foremost is just understanding how much you're worth being on the other side of that hardship, and how much you're worth overcoming those challenges, but most especially being around people that you can trust that will validate your feelings, that, tough times are real, sadness is real, and those things don't have to be depressed or suppressed or pushed away. You can feel them fully, but they don't have to control your entire life, and to just continuously find things that are true to you and allow you to align yourself with your highest self, and then also just to remind yourself that you're doing the best you can. And I think sometimes we forget and we expect too much from ourselves, and we could just set a little bit more kindness.
Yes, I love that. I also love that you said compassion, because I think that if you're someone in this room that maybe has done a really good job of taking care of their own mental health and is in a really good place in your life, have compassion for other people, empathize with other people, be there for other people. Because on days I know when I needed it the most, there were people there for me, and now I try to be that for other people too. So if you can be that strength for somebody, I encourage you to do it.
Thanks. What they say. That's what I say.
You're always off the hook.
I know.
You'd be like, next question. Yeah.
There's a reason they call me the moderator. Look, I hate to keep going back to the same thing, but it is, it's a scary place to be when you think that you're the only one going through something. And that's where I was. It took a lot of pain, self-induced, to figure out I need to do something. And when my family, my wife and I have been together for 20 years, she's a saint. There's a couple people in here that know her, and they can attest to that fact. Everything was on the line. I was about to lose it. The advice that I would give is there are soft landings out there for anyone who's dealing with mental health. What I mean by that is if you just get the courage to say, I need some help, it is amazing. In the community that I'm involved with, in the community that others have been involved with, the outpouring of love and acceptance. And I think there is a, I mean, I'm getting chills thinking about the first, here's for me. So everything that I talk about when it deals with mental health is going to be surrounded around my recovery. But to be able to walk into a place and say, I'm scared to death because I can't stop picking up a drink and taking drugs and I don't know what to do, and have 10 people walk up to me and tell me, I know exactly where you're at. And if you follow this path, there's a way for you to be able to get through it. This is what I would say, at least for my end, from a recovery standpoint. It's not going to be, it was not the easiest thing I've ever done in my life. But the rewards have been immense to be able to get through. We say this a bunch in the places that I go, that if I was to write down all of the things that I thought I wanted or thought I could get from changing my life or doing something to stop the addiction, I would sell myself short. And 3 years and 4 months into this journey, I can tell you I never dreamed. I'm sitting on a panel talking about mental health with some really cool people who've done some really cool things. Never in my life would I thought I'd been up here. And it's simply a fact of being able to live a life that is, and here's the other thing. It's really tough because there wasn't much it's very hard to be alone in your own house, but I was. I have a wife and two boys, and there's so much more out there for us to live and see and do and be a part of. And if you can just take the courage to take the first step, just take it. Close your eyes, walk into it, and you will be caught by people who care about you. That's what I found. All right. How did you find Chelsea?
Not me first.
Anthony.
Should we let Brandie go first?
Brandie it is.
Let's go. Brandie's in.
Let's go.
Passing it.
And the winner.
Pass it down.
Brandie, how did you find an outlet for dealing with mental health?
You want to go first?
No.
It's out of my hands now.
Side noting, not
Say it, pass it, and be done.
Well, I'm lucky because it was art. It was creating art, visual art, anything I could create. But it's also learning and exploring. So I think once I explored, I took it to a weird place where I went in the whole like quantum physics, galaxy realm. But I think all of it was just to understand how big and beautiful this universe is, and how almost how small I am, in some weird way that brought comfort, understanding that there's a bigger picture and there's something happening that's so beyond me and my understanding that it's almost freeing to release that control and that anxiety and that fear to a more comforting place where I'm protected. And just like you think about how things work in life and in nature, that you have no part in, but are, thriving, or everything comes out perfectly. And you're like, wait, it's gonna be okay. And I don't have to have it all figured out. I don't have to be alone. I don't have all these things. So that's one avenue. And then visual art was just, again, another place to have a voice, to express myself when the words weren't there, or to connect with others, to kind of share a feeling or an idea and spark conversation, and again, learn more from each other.
I don't like following. These answers are amazing. I don't know what to say.
For me, I guess I can only speak off of personal experience, so I guess that was the question. Anyway,
You understood his song.
exactly. That's good. Check the box. For me, it started with self-awareness, and I say that in the sense of I was unaware of how much my conditioned mindset ruled my, I guess, emotions, right? So I had this conditioned mindset of X, Y, and Z, and when it didn't work out, that altered my mental health and my mood and the way that I showed up in the world, the way I had relationships, and even when my identity was a baseball player, how I showed up as an athlete. So for me, I had to understand where those thoughts came from. I had to unpack those and almost reverse engineer them and understand myself more to say, hey, look, you don't have to have an emotion tied to this event or this experience or this type of thing. So once I really figured that out, I really reverse engineered the process and found out the things that really made me happy. And once I figured that out, it was a lot easier to drop things out of my life that I realized were actually causing me to stay in this pattern almost. And one of those things was baseball, which is ironic, right? Because as a young boy, I was conditioned to think this was the dream, this was the life, and this was amazing, and this was everything that you worked for, and you were only successful if you were this person and did this and did that. And then once I realized, like, you know, there's a lot of other things that brought me joy, brought me happiness, and my idea of success is actually a lot different than what I was conditioned to believe. That freed me a lot mentally. And then once I was free mentally of that, I started aligning with people that were in that similar pattern, I think, or similar scenario, and right in that same frequency, and started surrounding myself with people that understood that vision and understood me and saw who I wanted to be and believed in me in that, right? Because I think there was a lot of even anxiety and stress about being 28, 29 years old in the prime of my career and not continuing to play, and people being like, what are you doing? And that caused a lot of stress for a long time, but as soon as I was able to free that and understand where a lot of that anxiety stemmed from, it allowed me to kind of set on this journey that I feel is rewarding almost every single day, where I wake up and some of the worst things that my mental health now are good things, right? It's like, it's about a business growing or things that are positive versus I was creating my own anxiety. I was living in my own patterns and things like that. So once I understood myself and understood those things and unpacked them, that really helped me on my mental health journey.
Okay. Oh, sure.
I'll go last.
Darn it. Can't say what they say.
Yeah, you're good.
So here's something I found out, that if I'm not drunk and high all the time, I got a lot of time on my hands to do all kinds of stuff, and I didn't know what to do. The first thing that I did, which my wife will tell you she's regretted ever since the day that I came to her and said, "Babe, I want to play the ukulele." And I am terrible at it. And I don't care. So that was the first element. The second, and it really, so here's the cool part, right? This is the cool part about a journey in mental health. Mental health is constricting. It is in yourself. It will keep you from doing anything and everything. Because one, you suck at everything. You're terrible. There's no sense in doing it. You'll never be good at anything. So why even try? I'm a big piece of crap. I'm not going to be able to do anything. Blah, 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 blah. That is me. That is my head. That's what my head tells me all the time, right? So get out to a place where now I start to realize that all the things that this one piece of me that wants to hurt me for whatever reason is just a very small part of who I am, and that person doesn't get to talk to me anymore. I get to figure out who I am and do the things that I want to do. And what that meant was everything. Let's try improv. It was amazing, like literally the first thing. So here's what I will tell you and there's a great, if there's anybody here that's ever been interested in improv, once all this COVID stuff gets to a point where we get back together, Lacko Comedy has been, was where I met TC and Moss and Betty and our first, Brett Duggan, who's the CEO of Baton Rouge Improv Fest that I've gotten fortunate enough to be a part of. I stepped into Brett's class the first day and he said, here's the deal. This is what we're going to do here. We are in a positive environment. This entire next 2 hours is going to be fun. We're going to play. We want you to be positive. There is no negativity. Here's the really cool part. You can't mess up. And I was like, wait, what? He said, you can't mess up. that's a game changer, right? Because my entire life is being spent with me analyzing every screw up that I've ever made in my entire life, and then compounding it and making it worse, and then becoming more in here. And then all of a sudden somebody says, guess what? Oh, that's BS. You can do whatever you want to. And we did, and it was fun, and it was free, and I felt like for the first time ever, it didn't matter what was going on. Those 2 hours in that room gave me the freedom to do anything and just act as stupid as I wanted to. And everybody else is like high-fiving you for it. It's like, you got to act like a complete idiot. That was great. And we're like, good, who's going to out-idiot the other person? It's like, oh, we're going to have an idiot contest? I'm in, let's do this. So it was great. So those have been the outlets. And then that's the thing, one thing begets another, and you start to find people who are very positive, who are wanting to do the same thing that you've done. Because guess what? They found out this really cool thing too, which is, all that BS doesn't matter. Like that's not who we are. I think we were put on this world for joy. I think there is a lot of joy here. The problem is we let ourselves, at least for me, it's so in my head that I can't see it. And when you wipe away that screen, you clean the screen off, and it's not dirty anymore, you see clear. It's like, what are the things that I like? I like to smile. I like to love. I like to give joy. I like to be a part of people who like the same things, and that's where the outlet is. And then you just keep finding cooler and cooler people. End up on a stage at Chelsea. They're like, this is awesome. Let's do this again. So yeah, that's where I'm at. You're at.
What they said. That's good. Yeah, for me, it was a little bit different, I guess. Improv was actually a part of my journey, which was a really cool piece. Now, I haven't had the time to do it lately, so I'd love to get back into it. So, of course, when Ross reached out, I was like, absolutely, I fucking love improv. I'm gonna say fucking a few more times. I love it. I love being vulnerable. I love being able to explore that. I also did some stand-up comedy. Fucking love that too. That was a really fun experience. And so I did a lot of that stuff. I did a lot of putting myself out there because all of a sudden my social anxiety wasn't telling me not to. And that was I'm not gonna say it again. That was a really amazing feeling. That was fucking amazing. But really, I think now that I did all that, I put myself out there, I'm gonna keep doing that. But for me, when I found a way to give back and to serve others and to do this as bring my passion and my experience and be able to help somebody else, that's where my outlet was. This, right here on this stage, this is my outlet. I think it's interesting. There was a couple, a lot of the questions that Ross put together was, how does art help you with your mental health, which is valid. Art is a great tool for healing, for processing, for expressing things that maybe you can't put into words or using words in that way. For me though, there was a dark side to art. I could still look back on some paintings that I did, some pieces that I wrote, and it's hard to read. It's hard to see. It's hard to look and realize who I was in that moment and where I was in that place. And I realized that without doing the work first, art was not a tool for me. Now it is. Now it can be. Now, when I wrote this piece that I did that I'm gonna do after this, that I might fuck up, but that's okay. I cried, I screamed a little bit, I yelled, and then it brought me back to that place, but then I took a breath, and I realized I'm not there anymore, and that felt really good. So all of that is my outlets for me, and I'm really excited to be able to share that with all of you.
Well said. So for those of you who are keeping score, I will tell you the next question has already been answered again, so thank you so much. I appreciate that. All right, so Anthony.
Let's do it.
Two-parter. Two-part question. Yeah, you got this. I know you can do it. First part, who inspires you? And the second part, is there someone who has been successful overcoming mental health issues that you look to? And what about them is it that inspires you? So it's kind of the same question.
Love it. Who inspires me? I feel like that's such a loaded question for me because I feel like I look for inspiration all over the place, and it's why I love art. It's why D'Lo and Zumo inspire me, Brandie inspires me, you guys inspire me, people inspire me, and that's the thing. And I I get inspired off of people's energy too. So I think it's, I feel like it's a broad answer, but anybody who is themselves, somebody who is authentically themselves and unapologetically themselves in the last year or two, to me, is somebody that I really resonate with. Unapologetically themselves. Like, I don't care, I like this, I do this, this is what and I've just understood the power of that. So that is really, really inspiring to me. And I think that we're sitting here because of that, right? There is a time that, straight up, I stopped collecting sports cards for 7 or 8 years because I was nervous that the guys in the clubhouse were gonna make fun of me. Like, they were gonna shit on me for it. And you're signing autographs, but at the same time, like, it was just a very weird dynamic, right? So I think I had to come full circle, be done with baseball, understand what really motivated me, and understanding that it wasn't about really, I mean, it is about selling sports cards, but it's about the connection with the people that are buying the sports cards. It's about the moment that they come in here and the way that they feel when they leave here, right? So people that are unapologetic about themselves truly inspire me. And if I was gonna pick a specific person, I think that's really hard for me, but it's gonna be a weird answer. I don't know if anybody knows baseball, but Alex Rodriguez was a baseball player for a real long time, and I never was a fan of him, honestly. And I'm still not a fan of him a little bit, but he inspires me in the sense that he doesn't give a shit about what people think about him. He just does what he wants to do, and the comeback that he has had, right, from, I don't know if anybody knows A-Rod's story, but he was banned from baseball for cheating and scandals and lying and all these things. And the man is on ESPN, TBS, he's a CNBC, a mogul, a businessman, was married to J-Lo for a little while, you know, doing his whole thing and doing that and being a great stepfather. But it showed me that you could be at rock bottom. Man was the ass of the baseball world in 2013. Like, everybody hated him, and if you turn on the TV now, he is everywhere, and it just shows resiliency to what his character. He was a little corny, like a little bit whatever, but he just embraced it, right? And he understood who he was and what he wanted to do, and that inspires me a little bit. I don't want to say A-Rod is a role model for me, I should say, but at the same time, his journey inspires me, right? From the rockiness of it. I'd imagine there's some severe mental health in that whole thing that he went through, right? So those kinds of things, he was one of the first things that just came to my mind when you asked that question, but honestly, there's endless people that go through it. I'm gonna pass the mic to my girlfriend over here, and just understanding her journey, even as an Olympian, right? As an athlete and somebody who trains for 4 or 5 years, and I say 5 now because of COVID, right? So she went through something, and I'm probably blowing you up right now, but I mean, you inspire. It's inspiring, it is. And so people who go through things and come out the other side and still are ready to be the person that they want to be is something truly inspiring to me. So I hope that answered the question.
Yeah.
I pass it to her, not you.
I'm definitely on the same page with Anthony that individuals inspire me for sure. Everyone has their own unique story and depth and journey, and to see people kind of come to a point where they've accepted it and they just express themselves so freely, even if it's strangers that are like people who can just sing out loud while walking down the street. I'm like, I wish I was there. I'm not, but those moments inspire me. And of course, the people that are closest to me, my friends, family, Anthony, that I've seen for exactly the same reasons come out through some difficult times, and still be so dedicated to who they want to be and what their place is in this world. And I think my mom, I'm an American. She's one of those that has relentlessly been dedicated to her joy. She has a million excuses to not be a very happy person, not be a very grateful person, and she doesn't have a lot, but that has never stopped her from living multiple lives and living in multiple countries, speaking multiple languages, having children, all these things. And every time she comes out and is so deeply full of joy, and I've never seen that energy expressed so purely. So that inspires me. I hope to grow old and young at the same time, the way she did.
Yes, I can tell you.
So she's not gonna expect this, but my twin sister, Whitney, right here, she inspires me. she's been here every step of the way with the project, and so really is my biggest cheerleader in everything I do. All I have to do is pick up the phone, and I know she's going to be there and everything. But she's been through a lot. She's been through a really tough journey, and it's not my story to tell, so I won't go into detail. But the strength that she shows every single day gives me strength, and I am forever eternally grateful for you.
Thanks.
That's good. That's good.
That was good stuff.
So, again, there are places that I go to talk to folks. The folks that inspire me in my particular journey are a bunch of alcoholics and crackheads that have changed their lives for the better. It's the truth. It is normal folks on the street that, for whatever reason, their journey led them to a point where they wanted to make a decision to change their lives. And there was, I came off a really poor, bad, horrific event of a weekend where some really bad things had happened, and I was trying to figure things out. It was a Wednesday morning. I walked into a room and I was like, what the fuck am I doing here? I can say that. So, and then I started listening to some folks, and one of the things that there were some people that it just seemed like they had something figured out. They just did. They seemed like they had some things figured out, and it was those people that I attached with quickly, that helped me on my journey. Literally, the gentleman gave me his card, and he and I talked, and I felt like this dude had been riding shotgun with me the entire time that I was using. Right? He said everything that I had ever felt, thought, done, what have you. And in a 30-minute drive, I live up in Zachary. We established a relationship that he and I talked to him every day. Those are the people that inspire me. And then what's even cooler, especially for what it is that I do, I get to see folks that come in who were me when I got in and decided to make a change, and to see the courage that it takes. We are a weird bunch of folks in recovery, right? The second somebody says, hey, I need some help, it's like the herd surrounds you, and there's a, ooh. It's good to be loved. It's good to feel like you're at a place where everybody looks at you and knows exactly where you've been, what's happened, and says, hey, guess what, man? Come down here with me and do this, and you can change your life. And then to see folks like me to come in and be able to turn around and do the same thing that was done for me, to hopefully be the person to them that was there for me. That's where this thing works for me. It's an amazing thing. There's a lot of love, and we just don't see enough of it. We just don't see it. But I will tell you, and if I go, there's one other thing, and I may be getting ahead of myself. Here's one thing that I would absolutely say to anybody. It is never too late. Never too late. No matter what is going on, no matter how far, how crazy, and wherever you may be, to think that you can't get out of something, it's just never too late. There's always going to be there some people for you. So, yeah, good stuff. Y'all gonna make me cry. Here we go. Here we go. I don't care. I'm gonna fucking cry. That's good.
I know the feeling.
All right. Right there. Tears. All right. Last question, and then we'll open it up. Anybody? We're back to Chelsea. If you could wave a magic wand, this is mine. I like to wave wands. If you could wave a magic wand, what is the one thing you would do or change to support people struggling with mental health?
We've got to do something to make mental health more equitable. It is not accessible to everyone. I can sit up here all day and preach, get help, ask for help, get support, but that's not that's me sitting up here in this space of privilege. I can do that. Not everybody can. And the waiting lists are way too long to find a bed in a mental health hospital to get the help that you need. And that is a huge issue right now. Mental health professionals are burnt out, and just like all other healthcare professionals right now, and everyone is maxed out. And so if you have the capacity, if you have a platform, if you have a way to be able to support changing the system, do it. Even that's one small thing, coming here today, being a part of this, sharing something that somebody else puts out there, an event that someone has. I'm a part of a coalition with the mayor's office to try and work on integrated behavioral health and how do we bring healthcare into like mental health and physical health into the same space, so that at your, when you go to your doctor's office, they're also making sure that they're taking care of your mental health and there's a mental health provider on site. How do we do more of that? How do we bring mental health in schools? How do we make sure that they talked about to kids and when they first walk in the door and that they're